This is TWiT. We are probably, in all likelihood, only a couple of weeks off from the new iPhone. The Note 10 comes. I get my Note 10 Thursday.
Nice.
The new iPhone, Fast Company thinks September 10th. That makes a lot of sense. That's the second Tuesday in September. That seems like a reasonable time. Rumor mill has been going crazy, not only with this year's iPhone. They're already starting to talk about the 2020 iPhone, which is really nuts.
Because that's the one that's going to make a difference. This one's going to be the same iPhone as the last iPhone.
Probably.
It's thinner, lighter, better, sexier. Same.
More cameras. Better camera. Isn't that all that really matters in a modern smartphone is how good the camera is?
Battery life.
If it did, then the Pixel would be the #1 phone in the world because that's the camera that really matters.
Oh.
I think
found
he's
a friend.
right.
I found a friend.
I think he's right. Yeah.
So I get review units. I don't make videos and stuff because I'm just lazy. So I just usually do like behind the scenes reviews. I gave that phone to 4 different people and they loved it. The Pixel XL 3A. It's just superior what that phone does as far as photography.
With one lens.
With one lens. And
so,
at the end of the day, if they have better marketing, or if they just say, you know what, forget this, we're going to sell this to you and charge you triple the rate. That camera is the best camera on a phone.
Okay.
Period.
But I'm going to say something controversial.
Oh, here we go.
The hardware is crappy. I love the camera, but it kills background processes like that, right? They still haven't fixed that. The hardware is not the greatest hardware.
But the camera.
On the
camera.
Oh, nice.
And it has a dedicated camera chip, which the A does not. No, I'll grant you that. But I have to say there is something to be said. Now, this is the S10. The Note will have it with multiple lenses. So with one lens, you get one focal length. This one, I have telephoto, zoom in, normal, and wide, super wide. I can get this whole studio in, and that's the lens. It's optical. And I have to say, I agree with you, Doctor, that the software in the Pixel 3 is second to none. The engine that they put in there, the extra hardware, the chip, that makes a big difference. But I think that even in the Galaxy S10 Plus, the Night Sight, which they just put out in their July update, is I think it's as good as Google's.
It's not. It's not. You can say that, but it's not. Aesthetically, Samsung makes the best looking phones, period. Their phones aesthetically look sexy and appealing.
Beautiful phone.
Apple,
you know how much RAM is in this phone? 12 gigabytes. You know how much storage is in this phone?
Look,
a terabyte.
Stop making up stuff that I don't care about. The Pixel 3, their only problem was that horrible notch that they made. If they would have made a sexier phone,
that notch is awful.
We would have all had that. So the 4 coming up, and I'm gonna. Why are you getting so mad, Leo?
No notch in the 4. Just a big chin.
You can tell me.
Or is that a forehead? I'm sorry. Just a big forehead.
I'm gonna tell you, don't lie about that camera in that phone because it's not about the size of the boat. It's about the motion in the ocean. So you can say what you want to. I'm telling you, the Pixel has the best camera.
There's a good camera in that
Leo
phone.
3, Doctor 1. I'm just saying.
It's not good. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm just saying it's not the best.
Denise, we can escape with a 0 score. We just have to.
It's not too late to be politically incorrect.
Hey,
all right.
I didn't even know that the next iPhone was coming out so soon until we started prepping for
It's a
the
little
show
weird
today,
when you
so
think about that. But of course, every September. Yeah.
Are they really?
But I'm wondering if any of you know whether Apple is paying attention to any of the facial recognition issues, biometric privacy issues. They did some pretty revolutionary hardware stuff with the 10. So I'm wondering if you've seen any coverage of that with the 11.
Their main focus is selling units. They're not selling units like they're supposed to right now.
No, but they're selling services. They're making more money per user. So
yeah, they will. They especially with that credit card popping off. That's going to be.
I love John Gruber, who's normally an Apple shill, right? Really loves the Apple.
He loves the Apple. I wouldn't call him a shill.
Okay, he loves the Apple. There's a fine line between
loves him a good apple.
Loving a good apple. Loving him really good and being a shill. But okay, I'll grant you.
I think it's authentic.
He's authentic.
Yeah.
He says the Apple billboards should have said, what happens on your iPhone stays on your iPhone, except for some of your Siri recordings, which we listen to. He was actually a little bit harsh this week on Apple's Siri, privacy, and trust. He says, Google, he even praises Google. Who would have thought? He praises Google because Google says yeah, we record your voice when you use Google Assistant, and we save it, and you can even go here and listen to your recordings. And yes, humans will listen to it, but you could turn that off, and you can delete them. He says that's what Google did. Apple doesn't even do that. Apple should. He says until the opt-in process is crystal clear, Apple should delete all existing recordings and confirm it's no longer saving them. They were keeping copies with identifying information for 6 months until The Guardian published their story last week. He says this defies everyone's expectations for privacy for a voice assistant, and he says especially for Apple, and that's the key. Apple, is it reasonable to hold Apple to a higher standard because they champion privacy? He says Apple literally advertises on the basis of its user-focused privacy policies.
And they tell you how much
they're going to hear from some EU regulators before too long.
He says on the assistant on let me see, let me find this here. On iOS, let me find this. Here it is. Compare and contrast with iOS's transcript feature for voicemail. Okay, so this is the voicemail transcriptions. At the very bottom of every transcription on iOS, the iOS asks whether the transcription was useful or not useful. If you tap either of those, you get a very explicit prompt. Help improve transcriptions? ? Would you like to submit this voicemail to Apple to improve accuracy? Recordings will only be used to improve the quality of speech recognition in Apple products. And here's a sentence he really likes. Do not submit recordings if you believe the speaker would be uncomfortable with you submitting the content to Apple. That's good. That's the way it should be. That's not what they do with Siri.
Especially when Apple goes out of their way to tell you that they're coming up with ways to give out fake emails to keep privacy from third party and app developers and like that. But they're out there doing whatever they want to do. They so champion that other companies are trying to steal your information, and we're going to protect you from that. But then they can go do what they want to do and not be responsible, which is America.
Okay, but now I'm going to praise Apple for a second, which feels really weird. I'm like in a new space
I love
here.
it.
I'm like,
I love it.
What is this muscle? Okay, but you know, if in good faith somebody made a mistake and there's room to improve and they apologize and do improve it,
and
like
fix it.
We've seen people make mistakes, fix it, and actually get more goodwill win from being like, oh, you know what? We did want to put that as a core or a pillar, and we didn't do as well as we could.
Right.
Like this represents a really interesting opportunity.
It is.
At the point where you lose Daring Fireball, like there's probably alarm bells going off within parts of Apple.
At that point, you hire Odocta.
Yeah.
Right.
Run it by them.
Run it by us.
Should we just call it odoctaapologizes.com? No, that won't work. You got to have...
now, I'm going to work on Uncle Lee. I'm going to come out there and start
Apologies
pitching
as a service.
AAAS ass.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Sensitivity as a service.
My first $5,000 check is going to be from TWiT.tv and Leo Laporte. Okay, that's going to be my first check. Right
odoctasass.com. I think it's going to be great.
You're 4-1.
4-1, huh? Okay.
Oh man.
Get the domain.